I'm sure you have heard this claim at some point in your life, because people repeat it almost everywhere. Someone has probably told you that the daddy longlegs is the most venomous spider in the entire world. According to the story, its fangs are simply too small to pierce human skin, but its venom could otherwise kill a person. You may have heard that from your best friend, a teacher at school, your mother, or your father. But I need to tell you something important. That story is not true, no matter how confidently people repeat it. I can almost hear you asking, "How do you know that, Mr. Elwood?" And that is a fair question. My answer comes from the knowledge I gained while growing up close to nature with my grandfather in rural Wisconsin. I'm going to show you what a daddy longlegs really is, why it appears around your home and garden, and why nearly everything people believe about it is wrong. First, however, we need to clear up something that most people do not even realize is part of the confusion. The name daddy longlegs does not actually belong to just one animal, even though most people use it that way. It refers to two completely different creatures that share little more than unusually long legs in the same familiar nickname. The confusion between those two animals is one of the main reasons this old myth has survived for so long. The first daddy longlegs is the one you have probably seen along roadsides, in gardens, beneath logs, or climbing fence posts. It has a small oval body and 8 legs that look extraordinarily long compared with the rest of its body. When disturbed, it may rapidly bounce on those legs in a strange motion that can make it look almost mechanical. This creature is a harvestman, an arachnid belonging to the order Opiliones, and it is not actually a spider. It has never been a spider, despite its appearance and the name people have casually given it for generations. Although harvestmen and spiders are both arachnids, they belong to distinct groups with very different bodies and biological features. That difference matters, so let us slow down for a moment and make the distinction perfectly clear. A true spider has 2 separate body sections, a cephalothorax and an abdomen connected by a narrow waist. Spiders also have silk-producing organs and fangs connected to venom glands, features that shape the way they hunt and survive. A harvestman has none of those features, which is why calling it a spider creates so much unnecessary confusion. Its body looks like a single fused oval, and it has no silk glands, no venom glands, and no venomous fangs. It cannot produce silk, it cannot build a web, and most importantly, it possesses absolutely no venom at all. I can hear you asking, how can something that looks like a spider be unable to spin a web? I was just as surprised when my grandfather first explained it, but there is no weak venom, trace venom, or tiny amount of venom hidden anywhere in its body. The harvestman represents a separate arachnid lineage and is generally associated more closely with animals such as scorpions and mites than many people realize. It simply evolved long legs and happens to live in many of the same environments where people commonly encounter spiders. Calling a harvestman a spider is like calling a bat a pigeon, simply because both animals are capable of flying. The resemblance is only superficial, while the biology beneath that familiar appearance is completely different. So the first daddy longlegs, the one walking through your garden, is not a spider and poses absolutely no threat to any person. The deadly venom legend cannot apply to this animal because it has no venom that could possibly be deadly in the first place. Now let us meet the second creature commonly called a daddy longlegs, the cellar spider, Fulcus phalangioides. Unlike the harvestman, the cellar spider is a true spider that often lives in basements, garages, attics, and quiet corners of rooms. It generally prefers undisturbed spaces and has very little interest in interacting directly with the people who share its home. Cellar spiders build loose, irregular webs that can look messy and unfinished beside the precise geometry of an orb weaver's web. They have the long, slender legs behind their nickname, and like harvestmen, they often vibrate rapidly when something disturbs them. They can resemble a phone that keeps buzzing while you are busy, even though you have no intention of answering it. That vibration blurs the spider's outline and makes it much harder for a predator to locate and attack it accurately. The cellar spider is the genuine spider with real fangs and real venom, which places it at the center of the famous myth. Somewhere along the way, someone labeled it the world's most venomous spider, and the claim spread from person to person. Here is what the science actually tells us. Researchers have studied the venom produced by cellar spiders. That venom contains compounds that work against the insects and small arthropods the spider normally captures as prey. However, by any toxicological measure, it is not considered extraordinarily powerful or unusually dangerous to mammals. No peer-reviewed research, documented clinical case, or laboratory study places cellar spider venom near the top of any credible ranking of spider venoms. In other words, the claim that it is the world's most venomous spider has no scientific foundation whatsoever. You can search through encyclopedias if you like. I did my own research and could not find a single reliable source supporting that claim. If any of you finds credible evidence that says otherwise, I genuinely want you to share it in the comments. The other claim, that a cellar spider's fangs are too small to pierce human skin, is not entirely accurate either. Cellar spider fangs can pierce human skin, and documented bites show that this does occasionally happen. I once witnessed it myself when my grandfather was bitten on the arm while we were in the garden one summer morning. The reaction resembled a mild bee sting, caused only slight localized irritation, and disappeared within a few hours. Peer-reviewed medical literature contains no recorded cases of serious medical complications resulting from a cellar spider bite. When this myth was tested directly, the result turned out to be far more ordinary than the frightening story suggests. In a 2004 episode of the television program Mythbusters, the hosts allowed cellar spiders to bite them on camera. The spiders successfully bit them, but those bites produced only minimal irritation that lasted for a short time. No serious reaction occurred, and the program classified the deadly daddy longlegs story as a thoroughly busted myth. Even so, the story continues circulating because myths like this often prove far more persistent than the facts that disprove them. So both animals are harmless, both are widely misidentified, and the reasons people fear them do not hold up under examination. What makes this story especially important for your home and garden is that both animals perform valuable work where they live. Once you understand what that work is, it may completely change the way you respond the next time you find one. Let us begin with the harvestmen in your garden, a rare kind of arachnid that does not survive by hunting prey alone. Harvestmen are omnivores that eat decaying plant matter, fungal spores, small insects, and the eggs of other invertebrates. That makes them both decomposers and predators, helping break down organic material while also consuming small pests in their eggs. Their work supports healthier, more productive soil and helps protect the plants in your garden from creatures that might damage them. A harvestman does not build a web and wait in one place. It actively patrols the ground in search of food. It moves beneath fallen leaves, through low vegetation, and across the soil surface, constantly hunting and scavenging as it travels. Those extraordinarily long legs are not an accident, because they allow the harvestman to cover a wide area surprisingly quickly. The legs also hold its small body above surface moisture and farther from predators moving close to ground level. The harvestman has another useful survival tool as well, a chemical defense system built into its body. Special glands release a substance with an odor that many would-be predators find intensely unpleasant. Birds, frogs, and larger arthropods often avoid eating a harvestman after encountering the smell of that defensive secretion. That natural defense allows the harvestman to survive without venom because it carries a chemical shield instead. A garden with harvestmen is a place where pest eggs and small insects are being hunted actively at ground level. It is also a garden where organic debris is being broken down, easing decomposition and helping the natural soil cycle continue. By performing that nearly invisible work among fallen leaves, harvestmen provide a direct benefit to the health of your soil. Now, let us turn to the cellar spider that may be living quietly in a basement or another undisturbed part of your home. If you watched my video explaining why my grandfather taught us not to kill a spider in the corner, you already know that indoor spiders provide natural pest control. Many of them conduct an unseen pest control operation around your walls, and the cellar spider is one of the most effective contributors. For an animal that looks so pale and fragile, the cellar spider is a remarkably aggressive and capable hunter. It does not always wait passively for prey to stumble into its own web, because it often takes a far more active role. A cellar spider may enter another spider's web, even when that spider is considerably larger than the intruder. It imitates the vibrations of struggling prey, luring the web's owner close enough for the cellar spider to launch its attack. Researchers have documented cellar spiders using precisely this strategy to hunt and kill black widow spiders. I first read about this behavior in an encyclopedia, and my grandfather also told me that he witnessed it when he was young. The cellar spider living in your basement may be one reason a black widow has not established itself in that same space. Research at the University of California documented cellar spiders consuming black widows under controlled conditions after repeatedly vibrating the widow's webs. This is not an exceptionally rare behavior, but a consistent hunting strategy cellar spiders use against many kinds of web-building prey. Just as a lion may wait calmly before suddenly striking, a cellar spider uses patience and deception to bring its target within reach. That pale, delicate-looking spider with the messy web may therefore be actively preventing a black widow from settling in your basement. There is one more thing you should understand about these animals, and it connects to a larger pattern we have explored on this channel. Both the harvestman and the cellar spider are sensitive to environmental conditions, so their presence can reveal something about the space around them. Harvestmen need moist, relatively undisturbed soil containing enough organic matter to support the small ecosystem in which they live. Those same conditions support earthworms, ground-dwelling insects, and the many decomposer organisms that keep your soil functioning properly. Finding harvestmen in your garden can therefore be a sign of healthy soil, while their disappearance may be a signal worth noticing. Without that natural balance, harmful pests may spread more easily, damage the soil, and reduce the productivity of the plants you grow. Cellar spiders prefer quiet, low-traffic spaces indoors, which are also the places where pest insects often gather unnoticed. You may find them in basement corners, behind storage boxes, around pipes and foundations, or inside gaps between pantry cabinets. In fact, I found one on top of my closet recently when I came home, changed my clothes, and turned on the light. These creatures are so sensitive that when my grandchild screamed, the spider darted away and hid in a narrow gap inside the closet. In any case, its presence suggests that your home contains enough insect activity to support a predator. If cellar spiders remain there generation after generation, they are clearly finding enough food to survive and reproduce. Neither of these animals is merely decorating your home or garden. Both are working as steadily as little machines. The legend that made them sound dangerous was never true, but their harmless and beneficial nature is very real. They are in the right place to perform the right job, even though most people never take enough time to discover that. The next time you see a harvestman on your garden path or a cellar spider vibrating in a basement corner, you are not looking at a threat. I learned that lesson from my grandfather, and now you have learned it from me. You are simply looking at an animal doing exactly what it should be doing in exactly the place where it belongs. Let it stay there and continue the quiet, useful work it was already doing before you arrived. Did you ever believe the deadly daddy longlegs myth, or were you surprised to learn what these animals really are? Tell me your own true stories in the comments, because I read every one of them. This is one of those subjects that always starts fascinating conversations, especially among people who see the natural world the way I do. If you stopped seeing only a frightening daddy longlegs today and began noticing the real animal, then your perspective has shifted. It is as though a second eye has opened, allowing you to become more aware of the small living things all around you. Changes like that can play an important role in the way each of us learns, grows, and develops as a person. Until the next video, take good care of yourselves, stay healthy, and keep paying attention to the quiet workers around you.